Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music, and XILS Labs was good enough to send me a copy of the new PolyKB III. It's an emulation of a French synth that, kind of like disappeared from the planet Earth in the early 80s. But since, that's like my salad days, like 1982 was like when I was in New York playing electronic music. I thought it would be fun to play around with the synthesizer. There's a couple of great things about it. Let's try some patches. I really just kind of opened it up. We'll be kind of getting to know it together. I'm going to go away because I just want to show the screen really nice and big and listen in headphones and stuff. So I will see you in a moment. And here's the PolyKB III in front of us. As you can see, it's a beast. It's emulating an old school analog synthesizer developed by some French designers. Let's see, I want to show you the Matrix Synth page for it. And they say, Ruben and Serge Fernandez originated in Tarbes in the southwest of France, and they built this giant synthesizer. I mean, one of the things about it that's so terrific is the morphing oscillators. Now, morphing oscillators may not sound like much to us now, but at the time it was outrageous. Listen, it does that kind of like Depeche Mode thing unbelievably. So I've got just a simple patch set up here, a sequence patch, and listen to what happens over the course of the evolution of holding some notes down. I'm gonna play a G and a D above it. The filter's opening and closing, but you can also hear a lot going on. This totally falls into that like one finger genius category. Just a quick look at the front of the instrument will sort of give us a general layout, and it's laid out like a standard subtractive synth, what we'd expect from a standard subtractive synth, with the exception of some like really sporty, useful tabs. So we've got a couple of LFOs over here, which can be assigned to a number of destinations. 3 voltage-controlled oscillators with the addition of white noise. And the white noise does add a lot for an awful lot of the tones. Now, these knobs here are continuously variable, and this is the morphing thing that we're talking about, as well as being able to adjust frequency in steps, or if you, I think, hold down Control, it can go a lot slower. It is awfully nice to be able to have slightly detuned oscillators in the world. 2 voltage-controlled filters are, I think, not the absolute best software filters I've ever heard, but are very strong. And the one thing about the resonance is you can actually get this thing to self-oscillate. The drive here is fantastic, right? And what's going on? Well, so I've closed the tab, and we see in the old days they actually had a little cassette drive for saving things and stuff on the old instrument. We were looking at the effects tab before. We have modulation sources, and this is kind of great because these user mods are kind of like macro knobs, right? And then pre-wired mods as well. There's an arpeggiator, very nice. And then I think the thing that really jumps out at me about this version of the PolyKB III is 2 new things. Well, I don't know if actually, now that I think about it, if the space one is new, but we have individual voices here, and you can see them moving around. Let's look at the voice numbers, right? Voice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you can hear them spinning around in the sound field, and I can make them much wider and I can actually change the way they're playing. So here, let's do this. Let's increase the width and the speed. Man, that spins around in an interesting way, doesn't it? You can actually see the paths. And if you'd like, I believe you can draw them. I'm holding down the control key. That's so interesting. Let's slow that down, and hopefully we can get things that kind of like start in the middle and go outwards. Here we go. As an ambient composer, I get really excited about this. So let's try some pads, maybe do the same type of thing. We've got a couple of sort of full banks of things. We have the original PolyKB II, I think, banks, and then the new banks here. Let's go into pads and just try a warm pad. Okay, so let's look at the space path. All right, so it's just kind of static there, isn't it? Let's choose aquarium. It's a beauty. We'll increase the dynamic amount and perhaps a little more speed and width. Now here's that same pad. And now the voices travel in the sound field in a way that is very exciting for me as an ambient composer. I'm hearing a really big stereo kind of spread effect and some motion, and that's just thrilling for me. Okay, now I'm going to leave that there and go to the voice XY. Now the voice XY works in the same way, but you've got to assign stuff. So let's, assign some filter frequencies, say, and then maybe some oscillator wave type, since it's infinitely variable, right? And we'll just take the speed up a bit and turn it on. Let's show the paths and the voice numbers. And we can go over here and, again, holding down the control key, draw some paths in for individual voices. So I've increased the dynamic range on these filters. I'm going to bring the filter frequencies down so that we really hear it. Take the resonance up a little bit, and we should get a kind of a squelchy effect here. So pretty. A little more volume so we can really hear the effect. Now I recognize I'm just scratching the surface with this. Well, I'm very curious about some of these arpeggiated presets because, of course, this was how this kind of thing was used. I'm thinking of like Eurasia's Vince Clarke and that whole world where the sequences, the arpeggiations, become enormous parts of arrangements. The delay's helping a lot there. Ooh, interesting. Well, this is interesting. We're actually hearing a full polyphonic arpeggiation here. We're sort of hearing the whole chord at once. That's very pretty, and it makes me wonder what if we, turn this on just to give it a little more life. I like that. It actually sounds live, like a band almost, like one of those Steve Reich pieces, right? Just by adding notes and taking them away, I can create quite an effect. Because there's only 4 voices. That is really fun. Now, I love this world. It harkens back to a time when, we had a control for everything, and that sort of front panel was kind of like an invitation to dive in and tweak and play around. The sound of the synth is really strong. It's strong in the oscillators. It's strong in the spatial modulation capabilities. I find it a little weak in the actual filter itself, but I do love that the resonance can be distorted, overdriven, and also actually sent into self-oscillation, which I don't know if I showed really very well here, but when I was playing around with it yesterday, I discovered that I could do it. Tons of patches, a very good price point, and a really well-respected manufacturer, XILS Lab. Is it pronounced XILS? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. Old man, what can I say? Hey, listen, fun synth. I love synthesizers. My Osmos is behind me, and I've been playing around with it for the past 3 days, but I'm just so busy right now working on Cyrano. Cyrano's the play that I've been writing music for, and I'll have another update on how that's going very, very soon. In the meantime, I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe, ding the bell. You'll be notified when I do my videos, and I'll see you next time.